Hey guys, welcome to Books and BlueStockings. I'm Betty Bookworm, and Ophelia did not kill herself. Now, some of you may take umbrage with this. Umbrage. I mean, isn't it kind of insulting to imply that a character that's famous for her mad scene and subsequent suicide, who was probably driven to that fate by a manipulative and uncaring, disgustingly stupid prince and a deplorable father who uses her as a pawn in a game against the man that she loves. I mean, yeah, that's enough to push anyone over the edge. I mean, if I'm being honest. But my problem with this notion of Ophelia, and ultimately the portrayal of her character in many productions, is that they play her as this wistfully sad little girl who's so naive and in love, and she's picking flowers and singing body songs and hey naughty, better throw myself into a lake. Yeah, I actually find that a bit insulting because nobody reads into the show. Nobody pays attention to the context of the songs that she's singing or the language of the flowers. They're just like, oh, fennel and columbine. No, each flower that she picks has a distinct meaning as to why she picked it and who she's giving it to. And every single thing she says in the mad scene has a double meaning. Or as Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing would say, there's a double meaning in that. So today I'm going to read through Ophelia's mad scene and find contextual evidence as to why she may not have killed herself. Her death may have been accidental, or somebody in the play may have had reason to do away with her. No fear, Shakespeare for the win! Translates, shit on the opposite page. It's a lifesaver to theater majors everywhere. So the mad scene is Act 4, Scene 5. And right now it's enter Horatio, Gertrude, and a gentleman. Probably just any old gentleman. They probably borrowed one from Verona. I'm proud of that joke. So Gertrude immediately starts the act or the scene off by saying, I will not speak to her. That is very evident. She did not want to speak to Ophelia. Why, Gertrude? What really makes me laugh is that Gertrude says, what would she have? Meaning, what does she want? Bitch, your son just killed her dad! The gentleman, the one from Verona, says, her speech is nothing. Yet the unshaped use of it doth move the hearers to collection. See, that means that she's just ranting, she's crazy. But people that hear her are starting to draw conclusions. The gentleman is basically telling Gertrude, it kind of seems like she's conveying a message with all of her ranting and babbling nonsense. And so then Gertrude's like, fine, let her in. Now this is the first line that Ophelia has in her mad scene, and it is way more important than people think it is. Where is the beauteous majesty of Denmark? Meaning, where's the Queen of Denmark? Where's Gertrude? I really need you to listen very closely to that line, because that implies that everything Ophelia is saying is completely directed at Gertrude. Completely. There's some lines here and there that might be implied that she's talking to Laertes, or maybe even like Hamlet. But where is the beauteous majesty of Denmark basically is saying, everything I'm saying is directed at you, Gertrude. Everything. Alright, so Gertrude's like, I don't know, Ophelia, how you doing? How you doing, sweetie? Hey, my son killed your dad. But how you doing? Oh, that dad that used you in a pawn in a game that I was involved in against my son. How you doing? How you doing? That's how I imagine Gertrude talks. Ophelia sings, and when I did this for my capstone, this is how I sang it. How should I your true love know from another one? By his cockle hat and staff and his sandals shown. So, Cockle, Hat, and Staff. I'm just going to say almost every song she sings in the Mad Scene has some sort of sexual innuendo in it. She's singing very bawdy songs that a young lady of her stature, she's technically like she's noble enough. A proper young noble lady should not be singing these songs, much less in front of the queen, but here she is saying things like Cockle, Hat, and Staff. Now, how should I, your true love, know from another one by his cockle, hat, and staff, and his sandals shown? Basically that says, and on the opposite page translates to, how can you tell the difference between your true lover and some other? Your true one wears a pilgrim's hat and a pilgrim's sandal and staff. Staff probably means penis. Cockle hat probably means penis. It's Shakespeare. A lot of things probably mean penis. Who has two lovers in the show? Gertrude. Not technically in the show, but Gertrude has two husbands. She was married to old Hamlet. He dies, and then she gets married to his brother, which was a pretty not cool thing to do, by the way. So basically, it could be inferred that this song is Ophelia calling Gertrude out, insinuating that old Hamlet was not her true love. It also could be referring to Hamlet. Well, I do think it's my first theory because Gertrude's next line is, alas, sweet lady, what imports the song? Basically meaning, bitch, what do you mean? And Ophelia is basically acting like she didn't hear Gertrude's question and says, say you? Nay, pray you, Mark. Basically saying, like, did you say something? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I love how extra and petty Ophelia is in the Mad Scene. It's pretty awesome. And then Ophelia looks at Gertrude and sings, he is dead and gone, lady, he is dead and gone. At his head a grass green turf, at his heels a stone. Now, this very well could be about Ophelia's father. In fact, I'm thinking that it is about Ophelia's father. I just think there's a double entendre there. Because it says, at his head a grass green turf, at his heels a stone. Well, the headstone doesn't go at your heels, it goes at your head. The song is implying that that whoever she's singing about, he is dead and gone lady, was buried improperly. And anyone that's read the show, Polonius was buried improperly. That's just a clever metaphor for saying a person being buried improperly. So yes, she very well could be talking about her Polonius. But Gertrude's trying to shut her up, going, no, Ophelia, no, nay, but Ophelia. Now, again, Gertrude may be trying to shut her up because, well, her son killed her dad. And she's like, hey, stop bringing attention to the fact that my son's a murderer. Stop it. But it also could be that Gertrude hears a double meaning in this, saying that she's not only singing about Polonius, but maybe she's singing about old Hamlet as well. And Ophelia, when Gertrude's trying to interrupt her, Ophelia stops her and goes, pray you, Mark, basically saying, like, just listen, please. And Ophelia says, white his shroud as mountain snow. So just meaning, like, the shroud that he was buried in. Larded all with sweet flowers, which bewet to the ground did not go with true love showers. Basically implying that the gentleman that she's singing about was not buried, did not die a loved man. Nobody loved him. Could be Polonius. He was an asshole. Maybe Ophelia didn't actually love her father. That's another thing. People are like, oh, well, she went crazy because her daddy died. Yeah, he was like a bad person. And so I'm just saying, if I was Ophelia and I had Polonius as a father, it wouldn't drive me insane with grief that he died. If anything, if I had Polonius as a father, the second he died, I'd crack open a cold one and just get really drunk and then maybe sing really bawdy songs that are directly pointed at corrupt people of the court. Which, incidentally, is what Ophelia is doing. Larded with, so he didn't go to the grave in true love's showers. That could be about old Hamlet. Did Gertrude actually love old Hamlet? I mean, she got married to Claudius pretty quickly after old Hamlet died. And it's pretty much, I mean, Claudius pretty much admits to killing him. Why did he kill him? Did he want to marry Gertrude? Was he just so in love with her? Or maybe Gertrude was in on this murder the entire time. So Claudius is trying to talk Ophelia down, like, how do you, pretty lady? Like, trying to talk to her like a dumbass, because people often talk to crazy girls like they're dumbasses. And Ophelia says, well, God healed you. Ophelia's not sad. She's doing well. So this craziness is not brought on by grief from her father's murder. She's doing well. Then she says, God healed you. And on the translation, oh, I love this. It says, and may God give you what you deserve. That's what God healed you means. So think about it. She's saying that to the king who probably killed the other king. Guys, if she and Hamlet were boning, Hamlet probably vented a lot of his frustration out to her. She might be privy to a lot of pillow talk that people may not have thought that she was privy to. Let's keep going. And then she says the owl was a baker's daughter, it's an old story about how a baker's daughter was turned into an owl. And she says, Lord, we know what we are, but we know not what we may be. God be at your table. Which is, may God be at your table. That's like, you know, like those sweet Southern ladies that are like, bless your heart, or I'll pray for you. That's basically what that is. And, you know, that I made a little note here. Lord, we know what we are, but we know not what we may be. We aren't who we say we are. She's saying we aren't who we say we are, or even who we think we are. So that's just calling Claudius out on his murderous bullshit. And then she says, pray you, let's have no words of this. But when they ask you what it means, say you this. Basically saying, don't talk about my dead dad. But when somebody asks me what I mean by all this, I want you to say this. And then she sings this song, a very bawdy song, and I'm not going to sing this one because I remember botching it during my capstone. So it says, tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, and all in the morning betime, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes, and up the chamber door, let in the maid that out the maid never departed more. That's just, you know, basically coming out and insinuating how Hamlet treated her. Up he rose and donned his clothes, basically saying that on Valentine's Day, this guy came in to this girl's chamber, and they had a lovely Valentine's Day evening, and then the second it was done, he put on his clothes and left the chamber door, and let in the maid that out the maid never departed more, means that he basically took her virginity, and she's no longer a maid or a maiden. Again, Shakespeare was dirty, and that's why we love him. So, yeah, that's implying that Hamlet took her virginity, and she's probably a little bitter about it, because he took her virginity and they treated her like shit. Alright, and then Claudius is trying to shut her up again. Pretty Ophelia. Quit calling her pretty. Quit condescending her. You piece of shit, murderous Claudius. Shut the hell up. Now. And then Ophelia says, indeed, without an oath, I'll make an end of it. And then she says, by Gis, which is a shortened version of Jesus, by Gis and by Saint Charity, alack and fight for shame, young men will do it if they come to it, by cock they are to blame. Penis joke. Quoth she, before you tumbled me, you promised me to wed. He answers, so would I have done by yonder sun, if thou hadn't have come to my bed. Totally related to Hamlet. Totally. Gertrude is, Ophelia is calling out Gertrude for, like, pretty much about her son, saying, your son promised to marry me before we had sex, but then he just treated me, you know, he just tossed me aside and told me to get to a nunnery.